kids these days do not understand the euphoria of finding a wet, crumpled up, soft porn magazine in the bushes in a park or something like that. They will never understand this because they've got the internet. I like a beer with you, Baz. So
well, it's part of the podcast, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So I'm just going to very badly pour that into there. Oh, that's all right. I've gone continental with the head on it now. Hold on. This is one of those glasses that keeps fizzing it up. So if you pour it in, there's a meniscus over at the top there. If you leave that, it'll just go. I think it might take over the house like flubber if you leave it unattended.
Well, and weirdly enough, you and I are both at that level in our internet kind of numbers now that if one of us had a car accident, we might be featured in one of those the hook. Social media star dies and everyone goes, "Who's that?"
What a beautiful thought, Baz.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
A couple of episodes ago, you may have seen an episode or listened to an episode where Baz interviewed me and we found out all about me. Well, in order, and Baz returning back to the podcast after being at work for all that time, in order for Baz to do even less no work than he usually does, I'm going to interview Baz this week. So if you want to know who Baz is, I'm actually going to call this episode Baz Wright, Who the Fuck's That?
So I'll watch that one.
Yeah, so welcome to Baz Wright, Who the Fuck's That? The first thing I want to do, Baz, is usually when we get a guest on here, the first thing we do is we Google them.
Oh, yeah.
So I Googled you today, Baz.
Oh, God.
So what we're going to do in a Family Fortunes / Family Feud style, I've got the 8 things that when you type Baz Wright into a Google search, I've got the 8 search suggestions that it comes up with. Okay,
I know one of them,
and we're gonna play this like Family Fortunes / Family Feud. So I'm gonna. You got 3 strikes, so you keep guessing. I'll give you points. So you're going to get 10 points for the first one, 9 for the second, and so on. And then when you get 3 wrong, then that's it. That's the end of your game. All right? So, Baz, when you type Baz Wright into Google, what are the 8 suggestions for what you may be searching for?
So the first one is the one that I think always comes up, is Baz Wright married.
Correct.
Because I think that comes up with absolutely everybody you search.
So that was number 7. So you get 4 points for that, Baz.
Right, cool.
Next guess.
Right, I'll go for another obvious one. Baz Wright, gay. Oh no!
Is that Baz? Is that your dramatic coming out on the podcast?
I just figured it's one of those ones that would come up about me anyway if people were searching.
Baz, we are quite close friends, very close friends, I'd suggest. If this was you announcing that you were gay, I would be very disappointed that you used this particular vehicle to announce it to me.
Yeah, but you'd know, wouldn't you? To be fair.
Well, that's what I mean. I would hope so. Okay, so you've got 1 strike, mate. What's your next one?
Baz Wright, transition.
No.
Oh.
That's but I'm going to come back to that.
Okay. Oh, God. Baz Wright, I don't know, Instagram?
Baz, you've done very, very poorly on that. You got 4 points by getting 1, which was number 7. So, in order, Baz, do you know what? Either you get a lot of credit for not having Googled your name.
Yeah.
Or you get even more credit for hiding the fact that you do every day by getting the answers wrong. Right? So
Right, okay.
either way, you get lots of credit for what's just happened there. Okay, so from top to bottom, if you type Baz Wright, the first suggestion that it thinks you are searching for is Baz Wright age.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yes. Well, you know this one very well.
Yeah, it says age and not aged. So it's not people that, or Baz Wright is old. It doesn't say that. Your next one is Baz Wright Wikipedia.
Oh, okay. There's not a Wikipedia for me, surely.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that, Baz. I couldn't find a way out that wasn't really insulting to you from that conversation. So the next one is Baz Wright TikTok.
Oh, God, yeah.
Kind of an obvious one.
I went to the Instagram instead of TikTok.
Yep. The fourth one is Baz Wright partner.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of people out there on the internet want to know your status, pal.
Well, look, your face would come up on that one, wouldn't it?
I would hope so. And okay, number 5 is Baz Wright net worth. People want to know how loaded you are, Baz.
Yeah, they're going to be absolutely sadly disappointed that fact I earn absolutely jack shit.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number 6 is Baz Wright wife.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
So they've gambled that you're straight, whereas I think the ones 2 above that said Baz Wright partner are just hedging the bets.
Yes, there you go.
Well, they're non-committal on the prediction whether you are straight or gay. And then it's Baz Wright married. And then Baz Wright jump around.
Oh, you're joking, really?
Baz Wright jump around is number 8.
That. Oh, I love that. That's my favourite one. They're the most searched ones. Is that how it does it?
I think that's how it does it in order. So cool. Yeah, people are more interested, Baz, in how old you are, as opposed to whether you've got a partner or how much you're worth. So
it's obviously it's telling.
Yeah. So, how old is he?
Exactly.
I think that's pretty much what that
How is he still alive?
Okay, well, so on the first page of results, there is a result from TikTok.
Yeah.
The title of which is Baz Wright Trans.
Oh, good. That's literally what I wanted.
So I'm thinking that that's just people too lazy to type in transitions.
Yeah, hopefully.
Although that's where the word trans comes from. So,
it does exactly that, yes.
So maybe people are wondering which transitions you're famous for.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah,
mate. I tell you what. If you are a trans man, that the dose of testosterone you've on would knock a horse out.
Well, that's why I've got no money. I've just spent it all on testosterone.
See, we go way back to when you were a lady.
Yes.
So yeah, there you go, Baz. That's I thought that was an interesting insight.
That is interesting, yeah.
Interesting insight to what the internet thinks of you. So yeah, what I want to do from here is obviously I know a fair bit about you.
Yeah.
People at home, if they follow you, probably know quite a lot about you as well. But yeah, I want to kind of delve firstly into a bit like This Is Your Life. And just going like,
you haven't got guests there with you, have
you? Yeah. If you don't notice, Liz hasn't been around today.
Yes. Come on in.
Yeah. Do you recognise this voice? I own the kebab house near where Baz lives and he's a dick. And yeah, here he is. So yeah, let's go back to, let's go way back to black and white telly days.
Oh, God, yeah.
When you were born. Where were you born, Baz?
I was born in Cyprus on an RAF base at Akrotiri because my dad was in the RAF.
Baz, this is fucking unreal. How did I not know that? How is the fact that you were born in Cyprus?
Oh, it's because we talk about Berry more often than anything else. That's what it is.
Yeah, we also talk about us now,
yes.
as opposed to when we were a baby.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So your dad was in the RAF?
Yeah, so Bedford, just outside Bedford, is a place called Henlow, where there was a former kind of RAF camp there. And there's quite a few people in Bedford that I've met that were sort of born in Cyprus as well. Not, within that kind of 10-year window when I was born, because it was sort of obviously the next place that a lot of them came to after Cyprus.
So So you were born in Cyprus. You lived in Cyprus for a bit, and then moved to Bedford. There was nothing in between.
I think it was I could have only been 6 months well, it was less than a year when I first came here. But so it was that thing. I don't never class people. Oh, does that make you a Cypriot? And I'm like, well, not really, no, because I was born on an RAF base, which is officially England, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's technically same as that. There's US air bases in the UK. It's technically US soil, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I'm not going to lie. I don't think you'd be this interesting, to be honest.
Well, let's stop it. Let's stop it now, because that's the end of it.
Thanks for listening, people. Don't forget to do the subscribe shit. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and goodbye.
Bye. Thanks, Tom.
No, don't really. We're joking. So your dad's English then, or British?
Yeah. So he's assuming that he is my dad, because obviously, I think I spoke about this before. It's like I only know him through photographs. I don't really know him through any kind of interaction, because he left long before I was able to kind of talk to him. But my mum, when she was alive, kind of said, "Oh, look, I've still got contact details for your dad." And then for some unknown reason, I've just never ever gone that next step of kind of contacting him. I mean, I think he's still alive, but he's a Yorkshireman.
Ah, so, and your mum. I do know this that your mum's Malaysian.
Was Malaysian, yes. So yes, bless his
Well, she still is.
Yes, yeah, on her passport. Yes.
She didn't change nationality when she died, Baz. It's like when she was alive, she was Malaysian, and then the moment she died, she was Taiwanese, which is a bit weird.
So that's where they met in when he was stationed in Malaysia, and then got together, and he dragged her over to Cyprus, and then dragged her over to England, kicking and screaming, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, well, to be fair, I think lots of people from the natural beauty and climate of Malaysia would be desperate to move to Bedford.
Yes. Well, so all of my aunties all ended up marrying servicemen. So my other two aunties married guys from the army, soldiers, I suppose you'd call them.
Baz, is this now? This could be. I could be in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to anyway. Is that like marrying a British serviceman as a Malaysian? Is that like the forerunner to what happens now? Is like when they meet on the internet so they can move to England? Is that what that is?
Well, I used to be quite rude about it to my mum. I won't do it here because it'll just make me sound like a racist. But I used to often say stuff about my mum how she met my dad.
Well, I mean, this is the thing about racism, Baz, is that, can you be racist? It's a bit like black people are allowed to use the N-word and nobody else. You're half Malaysian. I'm pretty sure if you joke about Malaysians in you could probably say stuff about Malaysians, right? Not even probably, you could definitely say stuff about Malaysians that if I said it, I would rightly be fucking hung, drawn and quartered for saying it. I think that works.
You can bleep this out, but I always used to make the joke that my mum met him and first said, fucky sucky, $25.
No, I'm not bleeping that out, mate. You said it and you're half Malaysian, so I think we're in the clear.
Yeah, that was always my joke about how my mum met my dad.
So what was your? Clearly, you didn't have a relationship with your dad.
I think the other reason why I've never really thought about it is because, I have a dad anyway, and Joe has been my dad since I could remember him being around. So he was around a long time before I ever remember not having a dad. So don't really need another one. Don't need the complication of other relatives that I'm not going to stay in contact with.
So this is a good thing, as long as you don't mind talking about it. But so talk to us about Joe then.
Oh, so Joe also was in the RAF, and he met my mum.
Your mum's got a type then.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he was stationed at Henlow or Cardigan Camp as it was up there. So about the time that my mum split up with my dad, when they were living up there. She met my dad, who was also stationed there, and then he kind of took over the running of the family. Yeah, he's been my dad, as far as, I had all my first sort of dad experiences with him, and and still see him regularly now. So I think not that, because he's even said, why don't you search him out? And I was like, can't be bothered, if I'm really honest. I've already got a dad. I don't want to spend too much money on Father's Day now.
I can understand people who aren't bothered about searching out the biological dad, because I'm a massive believer in your dad is your dad. It doesn't matter what a birth certificate says or what DNA says or anything like that, because being a dad is so much more than conception.
100%.
I believe, and I have and this is a bit of a weird thing to think, but I often think, I say often, I don't often think it, but I have in the past thought, what would I do if Emma turned around to me and just said, they're not your kids? Or if I found out, if we did a heritage DNA or 23andMe or whatever like that, and found out my kids were mine. And I was like, clearly it would be a kick in the bollocks, but I'd like to think it wouldn't affect anything, really, because it's...
Well, they're your children, aren't they? You've invested your time in them as your children.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter where they were made. They were made by you, irrespective of biological genes, isn't it?
Exactly. That's the way I would hope. I would hope that I would receive that quite bleak news in a hypothetical way. I don't know where I went with that, but I don't want listeners to think I'm questioning the fact that I am parents to, I am the father of my 3 kids. But yeah, you never know, do you? Because you know what? You eat a tin of beans, you don't know which one makes you fart, do you?
I've never heard that before.
For legal reasons, I need to. That is a joke. My wife is a very lovely lady and isn't like that. But that's I think that's a Steve Coogan joke from Paul Calf.
I love it.
From Pauline Calf back in the day, but it is one of my favourites. But do you know what? I'm really enjoying this because I'm finding new stuff about you already in places that I didn't think I'd find it, which is...
it was much like when I interviewed you. It's like when you meet people sort of later on in your life, rather than from school and stuff like that in early times, you don't really talk about stuff too much before you met them, do you? You talk about sort of, maybe 10 years, or when you, in our case, when you first met wives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Never really went that far back, so...
So, this sounds like this definitely sounds like a question from Piers Morgan Life Stories. But
I love it.
Did you have a happy childhood?
I did, yeah. I mean, the main reason is like I've got a very simplistic view on life. It's like tomorrow is all I really live for. So I never really worry too much about what's going to happen in the future. Hence the reason why I do the things that I do. Because, I think I've said to you before that I'm not really an ambitious person because I've only got to get to tomorrow. That's good enough for me. But yeah, so I was pretty happy as a child because as you know as well, we grew up in sort of simpler times, and certainly in the kind of economic bracket that we were in. Most of my friends were the same way. So, all the things we did were, those horrible memes where, wasn't it better in the 80s when you did, you could just play outside all day? That was literally what life was like. So,
yeah.
And also, I've never really been that demanding on stuff that I wanted, even if there was sort of, the latest trends. So I've never been demanding on the things that you'd wanted. So, anything I ever got as a present for Christmas was always the best thing ever. And, just... pretty much simplistically, anything I did as a child, I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, that's good.
So, yeah.
So it was much later in your life when you started to covet pretty things. Then,
yes, exactly. It's like anything, isn't it? It's like if you're never shown anything, you don't really want it. I mean, my life was spent looking at toys in the catalogues, like most kids my age. And wishing you could have all of them, and getting one of those things was brilliant. So
yeah,
and we didn't have the internet like we do now, so you couldn't actually go that far outside of your realm anyway. So Action Men and porn mags in the woods were my favourite things.
See, Kids these days don't. Kids these days do not understand the euphoria of finding a wet, crumpled up,
Yeah.
soft porn magazine in the bushes in a park or something
Yeah, yeah.
like that. They will never understand this because they've got the internet and it's just there's loads of it. I don't think that's not a spoiler. I don't think I've ruined it for anyone who's gone on the internet and didn't realise there was a good amount of pornographic material on there. I don't think I've ruined it for anyone there.
But the thing is, people are probably more likely to go and Google what's a porn magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
A magazine.
But no, that is something I nearly went to like, you'd do this like it is a generic thing that everybody did this. But I remember finding one in the bushes in the park, leaving it there and running to tell me mates. I didn't pick it up and take it. Ran, lads, you'll never guess what. Follow
Come
me.
back to me, look.
And do you know what I mean? And that's the and we say we used to call them porn mags.
Yeah.
But they'd be very, it's very kind of lightweight versus the internet.
Yeah. Basically, it was just a whole magazine of page threes.
Yeah, nothing went in anywhere.
I mean, if you were lucky to find one of those, you'd be like, I don't even know what this is.
No, it was pictures of ladies with not much on.
Yeah,
so.
Well, nothing. Hopefully, was the criteria.
Well, yeah, that was the Holy Grail. That was the one. So that's just how things was. How things was. That's just how things were.
You got very northern then.
I don't even know. I'm tired. I've had a glass of prosecco and I can't even figure out which is the most grammatically correct of those two things to say.
I think we're well beyond that.
It's how things was, or it's how things were. It's how things were in those.
How things were, yeah, they were.
Goodness me! Right, I think I need to lie down at some point. Right, but we'll get through this first. It's not the best podcast. Like that's not the best podcast content. If I just have a little nap, is it, Baz?
Oh, well, we'll have to do one from our beds one day, just to see if we can send people to sleep quicker.
Let's do it from the same bed like Bert and Ernie. That's gold. That is. I'm telling you now, that's podcast gold already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We should definitely do it one day.
So, staying with young Baz, what were you like at school?
So academically, when I was younger, like not very bright. I mean, more interested in art than I was in kind of, as you know, geography and history. Although it's one of those things, I got more interested in those once I'd left school, when I realised that, do you know what? I kind of got to the point, this is speaking to myself, I kind of left school and went, shit, you didn't really like learn very much when you were at school. I was too busy, like always just drawing stuff. I think I said to you before that I used to just always carry like an A4 notepad around me, like a sketch pad and a pencil, and just all I used to do was draw all the time. So I was always more interested in art than I ever was in the kind of academic subjects. Terrible at maths, terrible at all the other sort of subjects. Quite liked German, because German's it's just translating one language to another, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it is.
Exactly. So that was quite easy. But yeah, never really that. But yeah, so and plus I spent a lot of my time just sort of like wanting to be cool rather than wanting to be anything else. So I went through all the usual phases, not the usual, but certain phases of bleaching hair, having weird haircuts, wearing stuff that was not quite school uniform. I mean, I got sent home quite a few times to change stuff. There was a period in time where jacked up trousers were the thing, and of course you weren't really allowed to have them at school. So I got sent home a few times to have to sort out another pair of trousers that weren't sort of halfway up my shins. I got sent home once for having bleached blonde white hair, and I thought, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I just shaved it off completely. And yeah, it was always that sort of following trends. And I was one of the school smokers, so I would be in a sort of gang of, I don't know, 20 kids that used to hang around Smokers Corner. But that was always my thing. Was I always wanted to be part of, like, identify with a group of people rather than being me, the individual. So, I mean, I think people remember me from school, but not necessarily for anything other than just being part of a gang of people.
Baz, I think it's the. And I'm not a psychologist, not even an amateur one, but I think knowing obviously you now, and people know that you know you from your stylish transitions, I believe is the phrase that we've settled on. And yeah, so basically, dressing up in clothes that aren't the norm and craving people liking them. Sounds like it's been going on since you were a child, Baz. So this is just the latest incarnation of it.
Well, it is an odd thing though, because I've kind of thought about this before, and I've spoken to other people about it, and I think in general I've never really. It sounds really like it's deep and dark, but I've never really been that comfortable with, like, how I looked without all the other stuff on. So I think hence the beard and the tattoos and all the other stuff. I think it's just kind of like, creating your own look, because maybe I just was never happy with, even to the change, at some point bodybuilding and all that other stuff that I've done. Everything just seems to have been changing my appearance or changing my, changing who I am. So I think I've finally got to a point in my life where I'm quite comfortable with who I am. Mainly because, like, if I change now, people will go, "Who's that guy?"
I think it's really interesting, actually, Baz, when you said, like, because I have facial hair for the same reason, like, because I shave my facial hair off, and people notice what a absolutely bang average face I've got without, and I'm being charitable to myself there, saying,
"Oh, mate, I'm just going to weigh in with you got those eyes though, so you never have to worry about it."
So yeah, thank you, darling.
Yes,
but yeah, I do think it's quite funny because I'm the same. Like, clearly, my facial hair is not to the extent of yours is, but I hide behind the facial hair.
Oh, he wasn't that far off, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and it will be back in the winter. Don't worry about it. It's a winter thing. It comes off in the summer. Big beard gets too hot for me. But yeah, I do think it's quite interesting that you said, like, you hide, like, behind stuff. Because it's currently, Baz, I'd say 40% of your face isn't actually your face. So
no, exactly. I mean, like, I should really put up. I need to change my passport photo, because, like, it's also on my driving license as well, but it looks nothing like me, not even remotely like me. There's no glasses. There's a bit of scant hair and just barely any facial hair.
Yeah, I've said this before, Baz. Your appearance is that you're literally the easiest Guess Who.
Yeah.
In the game, Guess Who? Does he have a hat? Yes. Does he have glasses? Yes. Does he have a beard? Yes. It's Baz. You'd ruin Guess Who because it'd just be too easy. No one would pick you. I like a beer with you, Baz. So
yeah, well, it's part of the podcast, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just going to very badly pour that into there. Oh, that's all right. I've gone continental with the head on it now.
Also, so you've got a French glass. Is Tennant Scottish?
Hold on. This is one of those glasses that keeps fizzing it up. So if you pour it in, there's a meniscus over at the top there. If you leave that, it'll just go. I think it might take over the house like flubber if you leave it unattended. So I had to deal with it and drink the. If you're listening to this and not watching it, none of that'll make sense. But believe me when I say it's fucking hilarious. All right.
We should definitely do a mildly controversial fitness special about your shred for your holiday.
Yeah, well, there's not really much to it, to be fair. It's just it's definitely not a shred. I'm in all right shape at the minute, to be fair. Playing a lot of golf and doing 5 spin classes a week as an old man works quite well.
Would you recommend it, would you?
I would recommend it, yeah. So yeah, all I'm doing is I'm just keeping an eye on what I'm eating.
So if you are listening to this podcast and you live anywhere in the Donegal area, Donegal. That's not bad. Yeah. There's a spin class 5 times a week. You should go to those if you want to get spin.
There is that. Do you know what? If there's anybody who is listening to this who lives anywhere near and comes to my, you can come for nothing. right?
Okay, yes.
I'm that confident that nobody listening to this is anywhere near where I live.
Yeah, just use the code mildly
Yeah.
controversial and you'll get it for free.
Oh, but hold on. There might be some of my current clients who
Oh
listen
yeah,
to
sorry,
this.
yeah, okay,
So
yeah.
you're not fucking coming for free, like you lot, right? You lot, you've got to keep paying, all right?
Yes. Yeah, I hadn't really thought that through then.
Jesus, I had to stick that in as a massive like what's the next time I go? It's like, yeah, we've all started listening to your podcast. My income drops to zero. That definitely wasn't very well thought through. That anyway. It's not legally binding because it was bollocks.
Yeah,
Right.
there you
So let's move on to, because 2 of the 8 things that apparently people who do an internet search about you are interested in is your partner stroke wife.
Yeah.
Talk us through, and this is interesting, talk us through how, when, and how old you both were when you met Liz.
I met Liz, who's my wife, current wife.
Nice, Baz. You got a good amount of listeners. I like what you've done there. We've got a good amount of listeners to this podcast, mate, who only listen because they like you, and they're the ones who are finding out if you've got a partner or not. So I do like the way you've kept our listenership as it is by calling her the current wife. Good work, Baz. Well done.
Anyway, I was drafted in by a friend. Could I just keep her occupied while he was cracking on with her friend? And Liz was like an ex of his, so he wanted a bit of time. So I got talking to Liz and ended up going on sort of a further date after that, which I think really, we spoke about this before, he didn't really like, and stopped being like a really close friend of mine after that. But yeah, no, we ended up moving in quite early together. Because it was when we first met, we were going to have this really short like relationship. She was going to go off to university and take over the world, and I was going to go and fail at being a close protection officer, because that wouldn't have worked for me. Because like when I found out actually what
I don't think you'd blend in, Baz.
Well, it's more the point is I went from being like, oh, I'm going to go as a doorman to go and do close protection, where actually most people that do that come from the armed services and and have usually carried a gun in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So looking back on it, it probably wouldn't have worked out, because I'd be like, which end or point and who are the bad guys? So that wouldn't have worked out.
Not only that, Baz, but if you're one of those people who has to run by the side of an armoured vehicle, you've got much littler legs than everyone else. So that wouldn't have worked either.
Well, but I do like wearing sunglasses, so that would be all right as well. So yeah, met her into 1998, I think. We're just going up to 25 years, so yeah, that's about right, isn't it? We're getting there soon. Yeah, okay. That'd make it 25 years this year.
So
yes.
So how old were you both at the time, Baz?
Well, Liz was 18 because she was born in 1980, and I was 30. What had I been in 98? I've been 31.
We're going to have to pause on this one, Baz. We're going to have to dwell on this for a little while. It's like,
I was 13 years old and 13 days when she was born.
Wow, 31 and 18 is a that. Dress it up how you want. That is a big age gap.
Oh yeah.
Not so much now, obviously, but at those age groups. So what was there? Were you welcomed by her friends, family, parents?
I'm shaking my head now. There was, you could imagine that Liz's dad, when Liz first brought me home, was like, "Hang on, this guy's 31. He lives in the back bedroom of his mate's house, and he's got like a 6-year-old daughter. He's not the first choice that we'd have for our heavily educated daughter."
Did he get out a clipboard and go, right, list of requirements for potential suitors of my daughter? It's like 6-year-old daughter, tick. 13 years older, tick. Lives in his mate's back room, tick. Along you come, sunshine.
Yes, exactly. So yes,
there's nothing left to tick. That's it. You've got the lot.
But it's one of those weird things that, like, I've been around so long now. They've kind of, I'm welcome now, as it were, because I think because Liz's both her brother and sister are both heavily intellectual. One's a doctor and the other one's a broadcaster. I'm the only one left that comes around now who's still a child. So I think they quite.
Baz, you're also a broadcaster.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
Stop it! No, you
not
are.
not for the BBC though.
I did BBC's. That's obsolete
they're heavily
now.
restricted. They can't.
That's obsolete now, Baz. This is the future.
So yes, as you could imagine, and I guess I probably would have been the same. That they were hoping it was probably going to be a short fizzled thing, and then to the point that also Liz decided not to carry on going for sort of places like Cambridge and Oxford, and decided to do her degree at Bedford.
I bet that went down well with the parents.
Yes, it did. It went down very well, to the point that she got cut off.
There you go.
So yeah, we moved in together quite early doors. We lived in a little flat in the middle of Bedford, and Liz worked at the same bar that I did, and we had a lovely old time. We just used to sort of, go out a couple of times a week. But yeah, no, we've just she's like, this is the good place to know. She was the making of me, really, because as you could tell at 31, living in the back bedroom. That's probably where I'd still be now if I hadn't met Liz. To be fair, I'd still be living with my friend Luke. And he'd cry every day that I'd still be there. I'd be like that child that never left home.
I'm not sure Luke would be would make the same prediction that you would still be living with him if you hadn't met Liz.
I don't know. He was quite forgiving at the time, considering that I was single for most of the time that I lived with him. So there was quite often times where I'd be hushing people out in the morning before I met Liz.
Okay, so let's bring it much more up to date. Start to talk about stuff that people know about, which is that the internet and all that shit now.
Where we met.
Exactly. So yeah, people know, or people who know the podcast, people who know you will know that we both started doing TikTok in 2020 when the whole world was so fucking bored. They all did it. And then that's where we met, which is not quite as beautiful a story as how you and Liz met, but we'll.
I don't know. I met you, then we disconnected, then I found you again, and we stayed connected after that.
But there you go. You know what I mean? And we've known each other like 3 years or something like that now. So it's so. In another 22 years, maybe it'll be, we'll look back on the story and we'll embellish it, and it'll sound.
Oh, mate, I've spoken to you more than anybody else in those 3 years as well.
Yeah. So yeah, the transitions and things like that you do. Like I said, I joked about it before, saying that it was like an extension of what you said you were like when you were a kid, in terms of like not wanting to blend in and wanting to do the stuff that's cool. And bleaching the hair, wearing the trousers and things like that. It sounds like that this is literally a kind of a modern version of what you were like then. Is that where the whole stylish transition thing came from, do you think?
So the clothes were already around before I started obviously doing like the video stuff, because I've always had an interest in no, not always. I mean, there's a point in your life where it's easier just to wear the same stuff as everybody else, and at some point there was half decent fashions for middle-aged men, sort of 30 to 40-year-olds. But I got to the point where, particularly with clothing, that I just got fed up of wearing boot-cut jeans and a nice shirt outside my jeans. That I thought I'd just bring it back and start wearing it. I started initially just by saying I'm going to wear a shirt and tie again to go out in, because I don't know if you might have been a bit young for that period of time where there was a point of wearing a shirt and tie out to a nightclub was a thing.
The first nightclub I ever went to was, I was 15 when I walked in there, and I was 16 when I came out.
Okay.
I wasn't in there for a year. I wasn't held captive. It was my 16th birthday at midnight. And yeah, you had to in those days you had to wear a suit to get in. So I had to suit, shirt, tie. It was a green suit.
Well, I have a green suit. There's nothing wrong with that.
But it was no. It's not a nice like tweed one like you've got, mate. It was like this like green polyester double-breasted thing hanging off me because I don't even think it was mine. I was 15. No one's got a fucking suit at 15. But anyway, yeah. So I do remember the days where you had to, you couldn't get in, you couldn't get anywhere unless you had like shirt, tie, shoes, trousers, everything.
Yeah, I just thought, I couldn't think what I wanted to wear, so I just said, I'm going to start wearing a shirt and tie again, and then waistcoats and things like that. And then, do you know what was really weird? Like literally within a year, and I didn't start this fashion. It just happened to be that then became the thing, and I was fucking disgruntled because I was like, hang on a minute, I've been doing this for a year now, and now it looks like I'm just wearing the same shit as everybody else. So anyway. That was what I ended up with in my wardrobe. But no, the transition things, I've discussed this to you before, and I should mention him because, one day you might even hear it. But yeah, it was Jeremy Lynch, who obviously we both know is a massive creator on TikTok and other platforms. He's not a transitioner, but I just saw him do a video one day. I thought, that's quite cool. And I went off and tried it, and I thought, actually, that's quite easy. And as it turned out, I then set on a mission over 3 years to make it as difficult as possible. I got from doing something that took me 10 minutes initially to now spending hours sometimes trying to make it the most weird thing. Well, actually, I should just invest in a computer and do it completely with edits as opposed to the way that I do it on my phone. But yeah, no, the clothes has got bigger just since I've been on the internet, really.
My clothes have got bigger since lockdown as well, Baz.
Actually, I've had to stay the same shape since I got that suit because it's made to measure.
There you go.
It's the only thing that makes me stay marginally within a 14-stone window.
To be fair, that statement was a bit of a stretch because we're talking about lockdown that was like knocking on 3 years ago, or like at least 2 years ago. I was like. It was purely for comic effect. That I'm actually in banging shape. By the way, I'm doing. Somebody complimented me on the golf course the other day. So, have you lost timber? And I mean, at my age, it's a bit of a dangerous thing to say. That say, yes. Are you all right, son? You're not unwell, are you?
I've got this image of you now playing golf in your pants, just like flexing all the time. Yeah, I'm looking all right, mate.
Definitely not. I'm going to say, I've got a question written down here. It's and I've deliberately phrased it like this. And it says, I'll read it out and then I'll explain what I mean. So, what's your favourite thing about being a social media star? And I know you'll feel uncomfortable about the phrase social media star, but I deliberately wrote that because that is the truth. I mean, you're too humble and too kind of to ever admit it, but. All that being said, what is your favourite thing about being a social media star?
God's honest truth?
Yeah.
My favourite thing about it is the fact that I'm a massive introvert, really, in life. And I always think it's funny when people just kind of go, oh, like you put yourself out there, and but that thing about being an introvert, I think what's nice about it is the fact that I still say that I am, but clearly I'm not now after all this time because I've kind of learned not to be.
Yeah.
But I'm an introvert in all the other things, like you and I are the same with this one as well. Hate making phone calls, hate having to phone people.
Yeah.
And I think I said to you before as well that then there aren't many people who know it, and I'm going to say it on our podcast, but I've literally been scared of everything I've done my entire life, like every single thing I've done growing up and even being an adult. It's like even if I have to get into do something new for the first time, terrifies me. So it's given me confidence to do other things in my life, and even if it's just stuff like doing the interview I had to do to get onto the television program. And you and Joshua, we should mention this in another thing, but you and Joshua love doing that because you do that all the time. I was fucking shitting myself. I just re-recorded that thing 20 times. And it was still as shit as the first time I did it. So it's just, I think what I studied, we're going to go on about being recognised, which is lovely, but I think the very fact that I've got confidence now to walk into a room of people like we did when we went to the book launch, and not and not feeling like I shouldn't be there, or not being scared of just wandering up to somebody. Because quite often, like in terms of fame, you and I have got bigger numbers than other people we go and talk to, and then we're going, oh look, just because they happen to be like on a roll at the minute, or they've got an agent, or they're just doing more stuff. It appears that and fame, is, we both discussed before, is an absolute load of shite anyway, isn't it? I mean, what is it? But
well, that's the thing. That's why. That's why I wasn't hesitant to phrase it as social media star. Is because these days fame is quantified in actual numbers. Whereas when you and I were growing up, someone was famous if they were on the telly, or if they were a sports star, and these days it's just like you're famous if your number is higher than a certain level.
Yeah. Well, and weirdly enough, you and I are both at a level in our internet kind of numbers now, that if one of us had a car accident, we might be featured in one of those the hook, social media star dies and everyone goes, "Who's that?" Like I do when I see somebody.
What a beautiful thought, Baz.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But I'd like to be in an article where people go, "Well, who's that?"
It's really interesting, I think, and maybe it's because, or maybe it's why we got on so well. That it's we're both a bit like that in terms of outwardly it's just like dead confident, dead like, and you know what? Once I know people, and I'm dead good with them, but like new people, I just like I'd rather not. It's just like I'm really kind of I am. It depends. I wouldn't say I'm always quite socially awkward, but I am socially awkward in certain situations.
Can I tell that story where we went to the book launch because it was funny?
Yeah.
Because I think obviously people know we went to Clara Batten's book launch, which was great fun. We turned up there, we went through the room, and then we got a beer and we stood by the window and looked back across the room, and we're nudging each other, going, "Oh, do you recognise that person there? Do you recognise that person there?" We didn't know a lot of people, did we?
It's really interesting, Baz, that our first instinct there, we went to a book launch in the Groucho Club in London, and both of us, our first instinct was go to the bar, get a drink, and then go and hide in the corner. Which is exactly what we did.
But what was funny though, we were both simultaneously like, we can't just stand here all night. Let's go and talk to people. We both just all went, and I think we even used the phone. Let's go work the room, and just literally wandered off and sort of like crashed into people and started chatting to people.
And I thought it was really funny though, because like I say, it was we'd both made an effort to get there. I'd come over from Ireland, and we'd both like gone like, right, let's go and do this. We'd go all the way to this place, and then we just got a drink and went and stood in the corner. It's like at one point I was just like, Baz, we could have done this at your local. We didn't need to come. We didn't make all this effort to come all the way into London to this book launch to do this. So yeah, right. What I'm going to do, Baz, to wrap it up, I'm going to do quick fire.
Okay.
I got this idea from a very intelligent guy who interviewed me a few weeks back. So I've got some quick fire questions. If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
Oh, New York. Love it. It's one of those places I've always wanted to live, just because I think it would be like being in a massive movie set all the time.
I like that. What's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear? Liz leaving me. I'm not going to lie.
Well, that's very disappointing, Baz, because I was hoping that you'd come up with something that when you're on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, they would just throw loads of us like, that's not going to be like, what we're going to do in this challenge, Baz, we're going to lock you in a coffin, fill it with rats, and we're going to make your wife leave you. That's not
No, I don't. None of those things. I'm not scared of any like physical things, just things, isn't it?
Just your wife leaving you.
Well, phone calls as well. Calling someone about a bill.
Yeah, me too, mate. I swear that people won't understand that because it feels being like outgoing and confident and throwing stuff on the internet. But it was like, I'm just like, Emma, I've got to ring the bank. Can you do it?
Mate, I've got Liz to be my elected spokesperson on some stuff in the past because I'm like, I don't know what to say to them. Anyway, yes, that's my biggest fear.
What would you change about yourself if you could?
I'd have hair all day long. Quickest answer ever. I'd have a full head of hair.
All right. Turkey. If you were a superhero, what powers would you have?
Oh, invisibility. I've always said this. Because, like, flying and that's cool and then, Superman stuff. But I'd like to sit in a room and watch people do stuff where they didn't know I was there. That'd always be my favourite thing.
I'd be the same. I'm so nosy. I'd be like, I want to know what they're saying.
Yeah. No, if they're talking about me, then you trip them up when they can't see you.
Okay, the last one, Baz. It's a dinner party. 4 guests, alive or dead. Who are you inviting?
Right. So, first one's always Russell Brand, because I just think he'd be an amazing guest. He'd be obviously sober now. I would also genuinely like, and it's quite controversial, Adolf Hitler. Because I'd love to say, what were you thinking? What was the idea?
What was all that about, mate? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'd also... It changed over the years, didn't it? I'd actually quite like Donald Trump, I think would be quite an interesting one. Because they'd be the controversial people. They'd be going, so tell me what you were thinking about on this particular day. And and then probably someone like... I'm trying to think of someone who would be not so controversial, but they always tend to be that way. I don't know, maybe the Queen now that she's gone, because we spoke about her recently, and so yeah, bit boring, but yeah, definitely like someone like because you imagine Russell Brand with those two as well, it'd be quite funny.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I was with you on the first two, Baz, because Russell Brand doesn't drink. So in mind, I'd be like, Russell Brand doesn't drink, so that's more booze for me.
Yeah.
Hitler was vegetarian, so that's more meat for me. That's where I went with that. I was just thinking about me in this situation, Baz. I was just thinking about how much more food and booze can I have by inviting selected people to my dinner party.
It's a great question, because if you had more time to think about it, you'd probably try and make it too ultra cool. But who would yours be, just before we get to the end?
Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
Would be one.
What actually happened? How did you die?
Exactly. So talk me through it.
But I don't think she certainly wasn't as dim as she made out that she was.
No, she was really, really smart. So yeah, I think she would be a great one, because she could unlock a lot of secrets about what was going on in the late 50s, early 60s in the States.
Yeah.
So yeah, she'd be a really interesting one. Jimmy Bullard is one. Yeah, because I just think he'd be a top lad to have a beer with.
You'd never get rid of him though. He'd be there all night, wouldn't he? Come on, Jimmy. Off you go.
Fuck it. Jimmy could move in with me. I just think he's class. Michelle Keegan.
Oh yeah, no, just
because I think she's fabulously beautiful. And,
yeah, she is,
and very talented and very.
I was going to say, as it turns out, a really good actor.
It's a very, very good actress. And who I'll try and throw in a curveball. My last guest. I get to edit this, so this will look like I've fucking come up with them like that. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'll pick Lady Diana or Princess Diana, just because I want to know what happened on that night, and I want to know if she's upset that Baz says she wasn't one of the most beautiful women in the 1980s. So on that bombshell is where we're going to leave it for this week. So thanks to my guest and also my co-host, Mr. Barry White.
Just before we do close, thanks ever so much. I know we thought about doing this ages ago, but it's been good fun actually, isn't it? It's like,
yeah. I think it's a good one to, like I say, people probably won't know.
Yeah,
because we pre-recorded a load and we filled in all the time. But you've been away for so long. I just think that this was just a really good one to for us to reconnect and to get the podcasts back up and running. from our point of view, not from everyone else's point of view, because they haven't stopped. But yeah, a lot, Baz. Thanks so much. Really enjoyed it. As ever, it's nice to hear your voice. Because quite often on the podcast we're just like, especially when we've got a guest, you're just like laughing and stuff.
Yeah, that's my job.
So anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, do all the subscribe shit, please. We say this all the time, and do you know what? Here is an appeal, especially for the people on the audio podcast. Right? If you're still listening now, you're obviously really into us, because if you're still listening now, you must really like what we do. So
we've been on a really long car journey.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's a massive poo. Either way, right? Either way, if you're having a struggle, either way, please get in touch with us. Email us at mildlypodcast@gmail.com, because we get a lot of interaction from people on Facebook, and we get comments through on YouTube. But people who are most of the people who consume our podcast are in the audio realm, and we don't hear anything from them. So please send us comments, suggestions for podcasts coming up, or let us know what's going on, or just send us an email saying you like.
Also, if you're famous, like if you're more famous than Robbie Knox, give us a shout. Come on.
Yeah, or just send us an email saying you like us, because we're very, very needy, man. So yeah, send us an email to mildlypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks everybody for listening. We will see you next time.
Bye.